A heavily blacked out report, held since August and just released by the Bush administration, reveals the FAA received 52 intelligence warnings mentioning al-Qaeda and/or Osama bin Laden in the months leading up to September 11th. 5 of the alerts focused on terrorist training for hijackings, and 2 concerned suicide missions.
And clearly, something yesterday took place in New York that was not foreseen, that we had no specific information about.
Like most Americans, Thompson initially didn't question the Bush administration's first statements about the attacks. The administration consistently maintained that there were no warnings or specific threats.
No specific threat involving really a domestic operation or involving what happened, obviously, with cities, airliner, and so forth.
There were no warning signs that I'm aware of that would indicate this type of operation in the country.
I first became interested in 9/11 around mid-2002, right around the time that President Bush's now famous August 6th PDB became leaked to the press.
President Bush was told in August that Osama bin Laden might be planning an attack involving the hijacking of U.S. aircraft.
Dan, it was a revelation that the White House had no intention of making public, and officials spent the entire day in full damage control.
I don't think anybody could have predicted that they would try to use an airplane as a missile, a hijacked airplane as a missile.
Nobody in our government, at least, and I don't think the prior government that could envision flying airplanes into buildings on such a massive scale.
But Thompson noted most journalists failed to mention the second aspect of the plot. Only CNN International dug deeper into the story.
In confidential documents from the Philippines obtained by CNN, the plan was clear. He will board any American commercial aircraft, control its cockpit, and dive it at the CIA headquarters. Other buildings targeted the Pentagon and the World Trade Center. And the FBI, using the Philippine documents, did check the 4 flight schools named there, but found no evidence of any other planned terror attacks.
Only NBC reported a stunning confession by a man allegedly trained by bin Laden.
It was over a year before 9/11. A Pakistani-British man told the FBI an incredible tale, that he'd been trained by followers of Osama bin Laden to hijack airplanes, and he confessed he was now in America to carry out an attack.
Khan was recruited into al-Qaeda at a British mosque, then flown to Lahore, Pakistan for hijack training in a Mach 767 cockpit before being sent to America, where he was told he would hijack a plane from JFK and fly it onto a building.
I told him before in 9/11, about more than a year, we hijacking in America Airline.
Khan claims he got cold feet. Instead of meeting his contact, he slipped away, gambled away all his money, and in fear turned himself in and confessed.
I've been to Pakistan. I know about this hijacking, something going on.
NBC News has learned Khan passed not 1, but 2 polygraphs. A former FBI official says Newark agents believed him, but word came from headquarters, quote, return him to London and forget about it.
Access to this exclusive footage from NBC is now restricted. July 2001, according to 60 Minutes, Egyptian intelligence received a report that 20 al-Qaeda had slipped into the U.S. and 4 of them had trained on Cessnas.
Now, to the Egyptians, pilots of small planes didn't sound terribly alarming, but they passed on the message to the CIA anyway, fully expecting Washington to request more information. The request never came.
In fact, Thompson compiled stories about 14 different nations that had warned the U.S. prior to 9/11.
You could have one story that comes out on the front page, and another story that comes out on page V12. And what I found is that many times the story that comes out on V12 is more important than the story that comes out on the front page.
March. Italian intelligence gave information to the U.S. based on their wiretap of an al-Qaeda cell in Milan. The LA Times and the Washington Post said the wiretaps warned of brothers going to the United States in a massive strike involving aircraft. August. According to Moroccan and French newspapers, an intelligence agent reported that bin Laden's men were preparing large-scale operations in New York in the summer or fall of 2001. The agent was then called to the U.S. to report this information directly.